The most important tool for playing disc golf is the discs. Disc golf can be played without tee pads, trees, or even baskets, but discs are necessary. So I wanted to dig into how disc golf discs are made and why there are so many different plastics, and how those plastics might change the flight of a disc. Disc golf discs are made with plastic injection molding. This is the simplest way I could describe that process. Plastic pellets are melted down, mixed together, and forced into a metal mold with a cavity in the shape of the disc. The plastic then cools and is removed from the mold, retaining its shape. There's evidence of the manufacturing process on the surface of the disc. The mold needs to be designed to come apart so the disc can be removed once it's done cooling. The mold is pressed together super tightly, but even with that, a small amount of plastic gets forced into the seams where the mold comes together. This excess plastic is called flash or flashing, and it's removed as a part of manufacturing. However, the lines where the flashing was are still available and are known as parting lines because that's where the mold parts. From these lines, we can tell that there are three pieces to the mold for a disc: the top, the rim, and the bottom. And from looking at a disc, we can tell where the plastic is injected from. The sprue, commonly referred to as the nipple, is on the middle of the bottom of the disc. This is a stem that is attached to the disc as it exits the mold that is trimmed shortly after. Plastic injection molding can be a bit of a balancing act for manufacturers because of the tight tolerances and number of variables. There are inherent inconsistencies in plastic supply, melting temperatures, injection pressure, and timing for each step, and each one can make a difference in the final product. These are minimized at Latitude 64 by having a mostly automated process to remove human error. The mixture of plastic that is melted to be made into discs can be engineered to optimize for different things. It can be optimized for grip, durability, or a number of aesthetic designs. The plastic used for our starter packs is prime plastic. We use this plastic because it provides quality discs with good grip, and we can provide starter packs at a beginner-friendly price as well. Prime plastic is usually flatter along the top and not as durable when compared to our other plastics. The flat top helps with a consistent release, and the durability isn't as noticeable for newer players because most aren't hitting obstacles hard enough to deform the disc. From prime plastic, the most natural step up for most players is lucid infusion plastic. Just to clarify, these discs are made from the same mold, just with different plastic. Lucid infusion plastic are designed for durability and grip, with lucid plastic tending to be a little bit more durable, but fusion plastic tending to have a little more grip. Discs in lucid infusion plastic tend to be domier than prime plastic. Domy is a word used to describe the height of the middle of a disc compared to the outer edge. So a disc that is very flat has relatively little change in height, but this disc is domier because it has more height in the middle. Along with the change in dome, there is usually a bit of a change in flight characteristics for lucid infusion plastic as well. They tend to be more overstable than prime plastic. The most reliable way I've found to determine the flight differences between two of the same disc in different plastics without throwing them is to measure the parting line around the outer rim. The way to do this is to put them both on a flat surface and compare them to see which has a higher parting line. Usually the disc with the higher parting line will be more overstable. With the density of lucid plastic, most discs come out weighing around 165 to 180 grams, but some players have difficulty getting discs up to speed, so they see better results with lighter discs. So to accommodate this, we have lucid air plastic. This is the same as lucid plastic, but with air bubbles inside, making the disc lighter around 155 to 165 grams. Even with all the skill and knowledge Latitude 64 puts into their manufacturing, some discs won't be within tolerances. Those discs aren't just discarded though. They are reground and used in the manufacturing of biofusion plastic. Biofusion is very grippy, but not quite as durable as either lucid or fusion plastic, but that's not always a downside. Many players prefer to have some of their discs in biofusion plastic because they will wear down and fly more understable while still feeling the same as their more overstable discs. When putting around a basket, most players' top priority is getting a good grip and clean release, so most of the time players will prefer a disc in our Classic, Classic Soft, or Classic Blend plastic. The Classic plastic is stiff, the Classic Soft is fairly flexible, and the Classic Blend is a blend of those two. Players will choose a softer or more stiff plastic to fit their needs based on putting style, climate, or just personal preference. Because of the inherently slower speeds and shorter distances around the putting green, durability isn't as important for these plastics, and most players are happy to make that trade-off for consistency. We also have some plastics that are usually reserved for special runs or team series. Hybrid plastic is a hybrid of lucid and fusion, but Classic Hybrid is a putter plastic that fits right in between Classic Blend and Classic. An X suffix will mean that a disc is a stiffer version of that plastic, so Lucid X is stiffer than Lucid and usually more overstable and durable. To celebrate our 10-year anniversary, we're releasing the Supreme series, including the Escape, Trespass, and Fugitive in the Supreme plastic. This is similar to Fusion plastic, but it feels better and is more consistent. The flashing around the outside is minimized because of the Next Edge technology, and the Next Feel technology makes the grip incredible. Another way these discs are an exception is because they can't be manufactured in the same molds as the other plastics. So we reproduced the molds with the changes needed to make them part of the Supreme series. We also applied the same process to our putter plastics, creating classic Supreme plastic for the Sake Bomb Slammer and Supreme Judge. The most common visual effect on our discs is burst. Latitude 64 has perfected using two colors at the same time in a specific way to produce this burst effect. It's usually only available in opaque plastics such as Prime, Classic, and Fusion. Our newest visual effect is Orbit. Orbit discs are usually white with a ring of color around the outside. This is similar to the Raptor Eye or Orbit Eye effect, where the discs are black around the outer rim and middle with a bright ring of color. Both of these effects are also only available on opaque discs. Players who are looking to play after dark, or they just want their discs to glow in the dark, are going to want to look into Moonshine discs. Moonshine discs were originally only available in Lucid plastic, but are now available in Prime and Classic plastics as well. Usually the Lucid Moonshine discs start out more overstable than the same disc in Lucid plastic, but as they both get worn in, they end up flying fairly similarly. Ice is another newer version of plastic that started with Lucid plastic being very clear and looking almost like ice. We've also come out with many colors of that, and even Fusion Ice plastic that, while not really looking like actual ice, the purity and slightly different feel is also distinct from normal Fusion plastic. Glimmer is a variation of Lucid plastic that has a really cool sparkling effect, and Chameleon is a variation of Lucid plastic that will change colors similar to a duochrome effect as the disc is viewed from different angles. When discs are manufactured, they make hundreds at the same time, and that batch is referred to as a run. When discs are all part of the same run, they usually have fewer variances between them when compared to two of the same disc from different runs. A lot of players will talk about finding a particular run of disc that will usually have all of the same characteristics. Maybe there was a domey run of Trespasses or a flat top run of Felons. Some players will even specify that a color of a specific run is unique from the others. While that may sometimes be the case, most players would be hard-pressed to tell the difference between runs, much less the colors inside of that run. Personally, I like to make comparisons between disc manufacturing and cookie baking, with types of plastic being the types of cookies, batches of cookies being the runs, and each tray of cookies being fairly similar, and the batch as a whole looking relatively consistent. But some will be able to tell the difference between last week's batch and this one. But obviously there's several orders of magnitude more precision with disc manufacturing. Hopefully with this information you can feel confident selecting your next disc and completing your bag. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more content on how to become a better disc golfer, and we'll see you next time.